everybody, once again. Neighborhood-friendly coach, trainer, promoter, 43-year-old active professional wrestler, and the sty still in the eye. That might be a medical issue, or I might just take a fucking needle and poke it and leave it in God's hands. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Going Over. I'm Zach, Primetime Reeb. I'm joined alongside my podcast partner, Big Paul Isadora. And before we go on, Paul, I'm noticing that you're in a different location today.
That's right, man. We got the soundproof booth here. I guess that's the benefit of me running the channel, and my bank account is connected to it, right? But
Yeah.
when all the money comes in, all of a sudden you're like, "Hey, what happened to all that money?" It's like, and I'm like, "What do you mean? What money?" You're like, "How are you in a? How did you rent some studio space? How did you purchase a studio to do your end of the podcast?" And
I
I just have
guess
to
I
shrug
got
my, oh, not sure.
I guess I got my cut coming later. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for all the views. Thank you for the watches, the likes, the comments, and all the subscriptions already. Because now Big Paul living the lavish life. He no longer has to do this podcast from the heat or the cold of his own mortgage of his house. He's now doing it from his own private studio. Zach Primetime Reap still on the couch, calling the action as he sees it, with his JBL, wireless JBLs on. And Paul, here we go again, man. We've got so much going on that we've been talking so much about everything. And I mean, we keep picking topics, but in the process of picking these things, we just kind of start bouncing around off of impact words and things we're saying, and we just really get going on stuff. And one thing I wanted to talk to you about, and we didn't even have to specifically call it a topic, is just we're this is going out to the young guys, right? It's going out to the people just getting in the business, young in the business. So one thing I wanted to talk about today and just see where we go on this is the topic of when you're a young wrestler or you've been around a little while and you're working for a company. Now, I always tell the guys, if you're in a three-way, a four-way, a five-way match, usually that means the promoter has way too many guys he's trying to get on the card. And bless him for putting you on the card, but he's just throwing you out there in these multi-man matches just to say, hey, I like you, whatever, I'm going to get you on the card. One piece of advice I like to give young guys is, especially early on, not even so much directly going up and saying, hey, what are your plans for me in the future? But saying, hey, I feel as a young wrestler that I have something to contribute to you and your product on your show. Can I get a one-on-one? If I'm in a tag team, can I get a tag team match? What's your take on some advice you would give these young guys when they're taking these bookings over the weekends?
Yeah, so you definitely need to. I mean, and we've heard this from so many people, even recently, just like about knowing your worth and um, understanding that those multiple man matches, whether it's individual matches or tag matches, um, don't always get to showcase the things that you're able to do in the ring, right? So, um, if it's for a specific reason, then that's understandable. But just having a multiple man match or a multiple team match, just for the sake of getting people onto the show, uh, that's not really benefiting people in the long run, right? So I would hope that for the most part, everybody's goal is to, um, do this as a job, right? Make a living out of pro wrestling, and you know, the the main thing is you have to get footage out there that someone is willing to sit down and watch, right? And I know back in the day it was like you need to put together a 5 minute match, right? And everybody's like, well, I can't showcase everything I can do in 5 minutes. Um, but unfortunately, that's the way that it worked, right? You need to understand that hundreds, maybe thousands of people are sending in their footage to try to get looked at, to try to get a job, right? So the multiple man matches, those aren't doing you any favors to showcase what you can do, right? So just like you said, you just need to have the confidence to go in there and go, hey, I want to show you what I can do. In a one-on-one match, or if I'm in a tag match, I want to show you what we can do as a team to showcase what we can bring to the table, and hopefully you're making it so you're letting the promoter know, like, I want to help you make money, and in turn, obviously, I want to make money on my own. But that should be your mindset: is what can you do on someone's show that's going to help showcase you and help that promoter make money? What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, you said it right there. At the end of the day, no matter what we do, we could talk about being a hobby wrestler. This is what we love. But when it all comes down to it, it comes down to it's a business. And we are here to make money. And a promoter wants to book somebody that's going to make a money. Can I take two guys and can you take your shirts off and I'm going to take a picture of you? Can I slap that on a poster? And will people want to come watch it? Will the women want to uh, be with the guy they see on the poster? Do the men want to be him? And I mean, I think Sable said it back in the day, for the women that want to be me and the women that want to be with me. And I thought that was always stupid, but it's the truth, man. And the way I look at this is when you're looking at the actual, you're looking at the card and you're looking at these guys and you're saying, okay, this guy says he can contribute. He wants an opportunity to go out there and he's been showing up, he's been setting up the ring, he's been breaking things down, he's been in contact with me. We have a relationship on the phone. I like this kid. And now this kid is coming up to me and he's saying, hey, I want a shot. I want a chance on your show to do something. I don't need a lot, because I remember an incident here not too long ago where a couple of these young guys, they didn't just want an opportunity to show what they could do on the show. They wanted the fucking main event. They were like, hey, can we have the main event? We're going to fucking draw the house, man. We're going to sell these tickets. And they gave, when I watched the match, they did everything that a main event was not supposed to be. There was no story. The match was too short. And then you look at the possibilities of the end, that you try to critique this young talent on what they're doing, and the young talent turns around and they don't respond to you. They'll respond to you. That's one thing I do too. Are you going to respond to me when I try to help you out on a match that just happened? And are you willing to get better? Or are you going to only respond to me when the idea of the next booking comes around? Hey, I got this idea for I don't want that guy. I don't want that guy, especially if you didn't respond to me and we weren't communicating about what went wrong out there. And if you're not able to take that criticism and talk to me about it to learn a little bit more, I don't want anything to do with that type of performer. So when you're booking, when you're putting your show together and you're looking at the talent that's coming out, what are you looking for? Because these young guys need to know. You're a promoter. I'm a promoter. I just said one of the things that I'm looking for. I'm looking for a guy who's going to communicate with me. And I want to build this relationship early on. I know I'm talking to a couple guys right now, and I'm like, all right, well, we got this Friday night prospect show coming up, and you're a big guy, and the squash match. And then I'm telling the other guy, yeah, a couple wrestlers coming up. I'm saying, hey, I want to get you out there in the ring. I want to see how you sell. I want to see how what you got in this type of a format. Because if I can't see what you can do, then I can't go further with you anymore. So what are you as a promoter? What are you looking at when you're looking at booking a guy who's interested in working for your company?
I definitely want a guy that is going to be able to take direction. When you talked about, a bigger guy, and you're looking, hey, maybe we're going to have you squash somebody, and then maybe somebody else who we want just to play a specific role. And when you're talking about those type of things, that's what you want. You want somebody to just go, yeah, man, I'll whatever direction you want me to go, I can handle that. So I just think about so many times that I've heard about somebody sending their tape to someone. It's like, hey, I'm trying to get booked on your promotion. And, for me, I'm always like, send me a couple matches, or send me your best match, or whatever. You just want to take a look at this person and see like if they're worthwhile. Because obviously we both know that if I'm looking at a match, I'm going to look at it a certain way. And if somebody's perception is this is my best match, and it's not very good, then that might be an opportunity to go, hey, you know what? Here's some critiques I've got on that match, next weekend, or your next booking or whatever. Take these things into consideration. And send me your next match. And then if you see that person send you the next match and they've made a couple of those changes that you suggested, then you go, okay, yeah, maybe this is somebody that I can use. But kind of getting back to the sending someone a tape, I know that so many times I'll get a video from somebody who wants to get booked, and my first reaction is, hey, who's the guy selling for you? Because I want to use that person, right?
Mm.
And you just talked about that, how I want to give you an opportunity because I want to see how you can sell. And I don't think guys understand that both of those things are equally important, right? You want to see, maybe you want to see from a heel the type of heat they put on, right? Can they, when we were doing the match critique, I talked a little bit about how Arsonist kind of turned up the intensity at one point, right? Like Rayshon's fighting back, and he turned up the intensity, and that's something that you like to see. It's like you go from telling the story of you guys are just wrestling. Now I'm getting a little frustrated because I'm getting out wrestled, and I take a shortcut. And then as I'm putting the heat on the guy, you're almost getting like you're frustrated because you can't beat the guy, so you turn the intensity up a little bit more. So those are things that you want to look for, and I think that those are the things that I want to communicate with people that want to, come and work for me. It's and it goes right back to being able to take criticism, not kind of going into business for yourself. It's what can I do for the greater good of the show. This is how I think I can help you fill seats. And you talked about kind of really the basic stuff, which is come help with ring crew, man. That's the thing that is always the most time consuming, I think, and labor intensive. So when you have somebody that's willing to do that, hey, I'm going to come help you set up the ring. I'm going to help you set up your chairs, set up your entrance, set up your sound system. Just looking for something that they can do to help you out. That's, I feel like that's a huge benefit. And obviously you want somebody that can work and stuff like that. But the little subtlety things are the things that are so exciting to find somebody like that. So I mean, you talked a little bit about what you're looking for, but maybe expand on, you got the Prospects brand getting fired back up here, and so you obviously you've already got the first show. You have people contacting you from different promotions. Um, Hopefully looking to take advantage of that opportunity to come in and wrestle some people maybe they've never been in the ring with, and also hopefully they're looking at the big picture of, hey, I'm going to try to get some feedback from these guys that have been around for a while, that maybe see things a little bit different than my trainer does, or see things a little bit differently than I do. And I think everything goes back to just being open-minded and um, you know trying to see the vision that the promoter has for you, and trying to execute that at the best of your ability.
So, first and foremost, before I get going on that, are you saying that we need people there to, whether they're students or guys working the show that are showing up early, we need them it's nice to have them there to set up and break down it. But that's not a paying gig, right? Like
Oh
we're
well, I
not
think
we're not
it's I don't think it's a monetary paying thing. It's a paying your dues thing, you know. So
but we're
you
not chunking out some cash to,
no, you know, it's funny because I was just listening to Teddy Long on the Undertaker podcast, and he was talking about how that used to be his job, but it was like he was saying he was going to a certain spot, he would take the ring there, and he was said something about having his 6-year-old son there, and it was just me and him setting up the ring because that's what he got paid for, right? And we want it to be a community thing where um, that that's going to be for the betterment of the show, right? If we can get the ring set up quickly, then we can get in there and we can work around, and that's an opportunity. uh those couple hours before the show, like, you've got production stuff going on, but that could be an opportunity that you're out there talking to somebody that's on the card, that's got a lot more experience than you. And we've talked about this over and over. When you have those guys in the locker room, the Boyce Legrands, the Big Uglies, yourself, myself, Luster, Adam, just guys that have been around for a while, Choopy, that you can kind of pick their brain and go, "Hey, I was thinking about using this sequence. What do you think?" And that's a good opportunity to get that feedback, because you're at the building, the ring's already set up. Opportunity to get in there and roll around, and that's I think that goes back to that old school, on the job training aspect of getting to a show and being able to jump in the ring with somebody and run some ideas by them, and maybe try to learn something that you don't already know.
well, you said communitive, a community thing setting up the ring. There's a lot of guys that have started with us, and a lot of guys that have come after us that will not touch the fucking ring. They're not going to touch it beforehand. They're not going to touch it after. And I see so many guys that, I mean, I'm still touching the ring. And we talk about booking. I know when you get your new students together, it's going to be the exact same thing. But my guys, I have a crew of guys that from locally right here meet up at 9 and we load everything up onto the trailer. And then I have the guys that come further away and they meet at 11 at whatever venue we're at, and we unload it and set it up, and they're there for breakdown. I know I can believe in my guys. With Ugly, you're going to get guys that are going to set up and break down because that's the most important part. They're going to do extra jobs like security, take the ring gear, ring the bell, fucking run some stuff from the back. The same with Samurai and Scoot at SPW. You know that if you book somebody from those promotions, they're going to show up and they're going to be there when the truck gets there or the U-Haul or whatever, and they're going to help you with setting up. They're going to be there the entire time. They're not going to miss the booking meeting. They're going to be there at the end of the show to help you break down. One kid he's from SPW. I know I put another kid over. I don't know. He might be SPW and Ugly Dojo, but this kid's name is Talon. And I remember now twice for WCWF because I help John start to finish. Sometimes I use my trailer to help him drag it, and John will help me back sometimes. He'll give me guardrail for helping him, so I don't have to drag mine out of the storage unit and try to find a way to get it up there. And there's this kid Talon, and I don't know what his last name is. I got him on Facebook, but he's just such a good kid. And he shows up, and I can tell he works hard, but he shows up and he helps before the show. And then when the show's over, so a couple weeks ago when we're leaving Wheatland, it's, we get the thing loaded up at 10, 11 o'clock at night. Now we got to take it all the way back across the 2 bridges to Yuba City to load the thing back in the building where we all train and set it up. Well, this kid, he doesn't have to. He could have left with the rest of the guys. He volunteers, even though I think he lives down in Sacramento or something. He comes back across the bridge. He helps us set everything up, and he's there when we roll the door down and lock the door at the end. And those are the type of kids, man. Those are the type of kids that I'm looking to book. And when they send me the video, I tell them, I'm very specific with it. I'm like, make sure this thing's under 7 minutes. There's a good chance I'm not going to get past the first 2-3 minutes. All I want to know, I want to watch you get in the ring. I want to see how you waltz around. I want to see how you tie up. I want to see a little bit of how you move with your chain. Is it choreographed and perfect, or is there some? I want to know how you handle yourself on the mat. I want to know how you rise up, and I want to see how you bump. I want to see yourself, but I want to see how you bump. I want to see these basic things that I only need to see because I'm not looking at you right now as a new wrestler, someone that I'm going to book. I'm not looking at you for down the road. I'm not looking at you for a 15-minute Broadway time limit. I'm not looking at a program or a story for you right now. I just want to know, can I send Bad News Blakesley to the fucking ring? Can I send a guy like Alex Ace or a Clay Jack or you? Can I send someone like you down to the ring? And can this guy sell, not die, and make you look like a monster, and also make it so you're not dragging around 100 pounds of shit in a 50-pound bag? You know what I mean? The worst part of wrestling is when you blow yourself up chasing some fucking idiot around the ring, or you blow yourself up trying to pick this motherfucker up. I've done it so many times at class. I'll put my right hand on someone's shoulder, and I'll start pulling their shoulder this way, and they'll start going the opposite way. And I'm like, hey, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Oh, like, you feel this? Here, grab my shoulder. Oh, yeah. Pull me the way you want. Oh, okay. And a lot of these kids don't realize that that's what we're looking for. We're looking for someone who's gonna stay close. If I rock you with something, are you going to run away from me? And now I'm going to have to fucking walk around this ring after you and track you down and turn you around and put you in the position I want to put you in to hit you with this chop. And I sit here and I go, man, I love it when I hit somebody. Boom, boom. And they take the shot and they turn and they're showing the audience where the shot was. And then they walk right back to me. I'm like, fuck, man, this guy's like a fucking boomerang. I just threw something and he came right back to me. I didn't have to move my feet. I didn't have to waste any breath. I could have sat here and ate some fucking Cheerios waiting for this guy to come back in this action. So I think a lot of it as a promoter has to do with what we just talked about, those things. Are you available to help us? Are you available at the hardest part of this? Because a lot of people will be there to help get it going. But damn it, not everybody's going to stick around afterwards. Shit, some of these guys are, especially when a new guy comes up to me and goes, hey man, I gotta get going. I got some shit to do tomorrow. It's like, oh, all right. So I think that's it when we talk about that is I need someone who's going to help with setup and breakdown and do what I ask. And I need to see somebody that's going to be easy for me to move around the ring and is going to sell for me. That's the first thing I'm looking for, because you can get away in this business with just selling and keeping your head up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. These are the people that bring value to what you're trying to accomplish. When those people come around, those are the guys you want to try to hang on to, and those are the guys that you're more willing to help as well, right? It's just crazy because you talked about how you have your crew of guys, and I think about shows that that you've come and worked, and and you're there. Normally before a lot of the wrestlers, and you're helping you, and Sin and all of these guys are just helping with the ring, and it's like, man, you've been around long enough where you don't have to do that. That's just something that you do out of respect, because you look at it in the opposite end of that is like, man, I would really like someone to do this for me, and I think that's using the golden rule of the way that you treat people, the way that you want to be treated, sometimes is forgotten. So, and that's why we take our guys to shows, even before they're ready, right? We get them accustomed to those things that need to happen. If you're so many times we would take someone to a show they're not booked on, but they're going to come and they're going to meet some people. It's a networking opportunity. So, and I think that that's valuable as well when you have people that you go, you know what, I don't have anything for you, and they go, that's cool, man. I'll be there, because I just want to network. I just want to meet some people, shake hands and kiss babies, however you want to put it. But those are the type of people that you value. And I think, for us, it was always bringing guys to shows. And because, eventually someone's going to, have an issue, and they're not going to be able to make a show. And if it's somebody that this promoter has seen on a regular basis, and you've been helping out, and just asking the promoter, hey, what can I do to help out? What can I do? Do you need somebody to do security tonight? Do you need somebody to run a camera? You need somebody to take tickets? Whatever it is, creating value for yourself is really the way that you go about getting yourself in the door at different places. So I think it's one of those things. Just being persistent with those things is super valuable. So, man, I feel like we're kind of beating this to death about what's most valuable. But let's talk about, we started off with trying to, show a promoter that you have that value, right? And so, at what point do you start telling promoters, that they want to put you in a three-way for no apparent reason? At what point do you start telling these promoters, hey, I'm not going to do that. I feel like I've got some value, and I want to be able to have that one-on-one match, or me and my partner want to be able to have a tag team match against just one other team. As much as I appreciate you trying to get me on the card any way necessary, I really want to show you, what I bring to the table, and show you what I can do. So, at what point do you think that that's important to start doing that? Tell these promoters, hey, you know what? I don't want to be in a multi-man match. I don't want to be in some gauntlet elimination match or something like that. So,
Immediately.
what's your okay?
Immediately, because you're someone starting out, coming from the art of, from your promotion, is getting that booking through you, right? They're going to
Yep.
have to go through you to get that booking. If they're going to use a PCW talent, they're either going to have to contact that person who's going to contact me, or they're going to have to go through me. I'm going to have to go through Ugly. I'm going to have to go through these channels to talk. I'm going to have to go through Gabe Ramirez at Revolution. You got to go through Scott at West Coast Pro. You got to go through Maynard or whoever at East Bay Pro. You got to go through these people. So it is on us as the coaches to say, hey, I got these kids right here. And when the promoter says, oh, I'm gonna put these kids in a 5-way scramble match, it's up to us to say no. And it's okay to say no. No's a complete answer. If I tell you no, and you ask me why or anything other than that, if you say, hey, I want you to do a ladder match, and I go no, and you go why, click, I'm done, because I said no. That's what I have physically told you no. If somebody asks me why, Rayshawn does this a lot. My coach has done it to me so many times, and I love it when people do it to me, because A, they don't understand, but B, if you ask somebody about something, or they ask you to do something, and you say, well, why? And if they got an immediate answer for why, and they lay it out for you, then it's like, oh, cool. Yeah. I wasn't trying to be a smartass. I just wanted to know why. Like, I don't know what's going on. Tell me why. If they can tell you why, fuck yeah. But if you ask somebody why and they go, well, and they're digging for the answer, I don't care if they've been in the business well, they don't know why. They're just telling you to do something. And then you said no, or you said why. So I think, fuck, there's that word again. Think. And we don't do enough of it in this business, apparently. But as the coach, for these guys, you being the coach for your guys, we are directly involved in getting this guy there and getting him his opportunity and saying, hey, I would be more comfortable if my guy was in a one-on-one squash match. I feel like my guy is on a level. He don't need to win or lose. We don't give a shit about that. But I feel like you could give him some time and he can hear the crowd and know when to go home. You don't even got to give this guy time. You know what I mean? I got a good little tag team right here. And I'd like to, well, we're going to do a 4-team tag match. Nah, I kind of not want to put my guy in that situation with eight other wrestlers, 7 other wrestlers, and a referee. You know what I mean? Like, it's up to us because nobody's getting this work without somebody above them. Ugly said it in his blog, and it's maybe you know who's doing it, maybe you don't. I just talked about the kid Talon. I talked about that kid. I know his name now, Cairo Leon. We see things and we start talking. I mean, how many guys have I talked about or you've talked about or we've seen on a show, and we as promoters start talking to each other, and then you'll send me what's going on for your next show, and I'll see 2 or 3 of those guys that we were talking about on your card. And
Right.
it's, you know what I mean? It's that communication that me and you have where I'm like, hey man, this kid right here. And I'm not trying to go like, oh, I'm going to steal this kid from this other promotion. Or I'm going, what are you doing booking this kid, Paul? You knew I was after him first. No, it's a thing where we want that kid to be around all these different promotions. We want him to get bookings. So you see some of these kids out there and they're on all these shows for everybody. They're everywhere, and they're everywhere because promoters are talking. And we're talking about, hey, this is a good kid. Hey, what do you think of this kid? Or I saw something at a show and I told you about it. And then you were like, hey, I'm going to give this kid a chance. Or you saw something in somebody and I was on your show and we talked about what this guy did out there. And I think, damn it, I'm going to, for saying that word, that think word, but it's right there. It's, as you've been there for a while though, and I always give this advice to guys that have been around a little bit. If you are working for a promotion like one of the reasons I left APW after so many years of being there and being Roland's right, I was Roland's right-hand guy, Gabe's right-hand guy. I was the golden boy, as they used to call me, with both those guys. I lived down there. I lived with those guys. Just everywhere they went, I was there. 24/7. And at the end, it came down to, near the end for Roland before he left, it came down to I went up to the new booker and I said, hey, what do you got planned for me? I've been there 5 or 6 years, man. I've been doing this a decade or a little longer. And I said, what's the plan for me? And he didn't know. So I just kind of was like, okay, luxury primetime scum. I'm losing to my own finishing move with Adam. That was brought up to me. He's going to super kick you, beat you with your own move. Are you cool with that? And I kind of just looked at it and said, yeah, I got no problem doing this. And this is kind of where it ends. And I went up to Roland and I said, hey, thanks for everything, sir. And he goes, I'll see you next week, right? And I said, nah, you won't, but I appreciate everything. And I kind of left it at that. And he asked me why. And I told him, I just said, there is no direction for me. I've done everything that I can do here. And this promoter doesn't have anything for me moving forward. So if you've been somewhere a while and you walk up to that promoter, that owner, whatever, and you say, hey, do you got any plans for me in the future? If they really do, they'll tell you, or they'll be keeping you up to speed on future plans as your character develops and progresses. And if they don't, then wrap up and get out of there, man. Go next destination, next place. I also like to tell these guys to look at the venue that they're at, the atmosphere of the company. If these guys are running a smaller show that they're taping something for, are they doing bigger shows in bigger towns where there's a chance to get a bigger audience and make more money? Or are they just doing something specifically from this same spot? And that's okay too. But as you look at a company, like, can this company grow? Because it's already maxed out at where, there is no more money coming in here. You can wrestle, you can get the experience and try some things out. But if you think that this is going to grow in this area, there's no room for expansion. With that, what would you say? What would you say? Because I know you got this new class coming up, and I know you were real excited about it, and you got some signups, which a lot of them we have no idea who these guys are. You don't know who they are, and that's the really
Right.
cool. Yeah, that's the exciting part. What is going to be the first thing that you tell these kids day one when they walk into that building for the first time?
Well, I guess I just want to make sure that this is something that they're gonna take seriously, right? Because obviously I have so much passion for the pro wrestling business that I don't know. I definitely get frustrated when it's, hey, that looks cool. I'll just try it, right? Rather than kind of my mindset when I got started is like, oh, I've been a fan. I want to do this. I'm going to do what it takes. Because obviously we hear all the time how, oh man, this has always been my dream. And we joke about it a little bit. Like, if it's always been your dream, why did it take so long to get started? Or if it's always been your dream, why did you come and train for a little bit and then left? Or you can't make this a priority, right? You know, there's multiple classes offered on a daily or on a weekly basis. Why can't you come to a couple classes a week, right? Because generally you're going to have a couple days off of work, right? So, um, and and I know that I've talked to a lot of people that have, quit their job because it doesn't correspond with the times that they can get to a wrestling training. So I think that's one of the main things that I'm looking at is that buy-in, and I think it goes back to coaching basketball and being a basketball player and things like that. But it's just um, you got to have the buy-in, and you got to have those people that are just like they want to take it seriously, right? Because I'm going to be putting in my max effort, and if these people aren't putting in their max effort, then I feel like they're wasting my time. So I think that's one of the biggest things is that understanding that. Um, and I've talked about it before, like when I first started, I was under the impression that, all the people that trained at these specific schools lived in that specific town. But getting, I mean, obviously you got guys coming from Red Bluff and all different places, that are traveling to come train with you. And I think that that's something that we have to make sure that people understand. It's like, there's not a wrestling school in every town. And, feel fortunate that there's a wrestling school close enough that you can come and train. Right? Understand that that's a privilege that you've been afforded because there's a school here. Right? You don't have to travel. Like obviously we had people that were traveling all the way up to you. Right? Come
Mhm.
multiple hours, multiple times a week. Um, and those are the people that you want, right? Those are the people that you go, okay, this person really wants to do this. They're willing to make the sacrifice that it takes to go get wrestling training. So, and we've always preached like have a gym membership. Try to be in shape. You have to, and this goes hand in hand with basketball as well. The things that you're going to learn in a 2 or 3 hour session twice a week are great, right? But you also need to do work on your own, whether that's thinking about character, thinking about storytelling, working on things that we work on within class that we have to rotate people through, right?
Mhm.
The way that you're going to land, the way you're going to get up, like these are all things like, yeah, it's great to have a wrestling ring to do that, but these are all things you can do on your living room floor as well. The things that we're going to do over and over and over that are important to the flow of different things. So I think those things are super important. But I wanted to jump back into something that you said about um, wanting to have a direction within a promotion that you're working in. So, um, at what point is it going to be important for someone to, be overly conscious of that, right? if they're working for you, and you know, obviously I know the way that you operate, and you're going to have something planned, little or small, or you know, big or small, for every person that's on your show. That's going to have some sort of significance. But what if you're on those shows that you just feel like you're a face in the crowd? You know, we saw that that promo, right? The face in the crowd. I don't want to be just another guy, or the next guy, or whatever that is. At what point do you make that a priority when you're talking to a promoter? It's like, you know, you just said you left APW because there was no direction. They didn't have any plans for you, right? And you always hear that, you know, creative's got nothing for you, right? You always hear
Mhm.
those things where, you know, obviously you want some sort of focus on you. You want there to be a story that you're telling. You want somewhere, some direction that you're going, whether it's over the next couple months or whether it's over the next couple years. You want some sort of story to be told, to keep advancing your character within that company. So, how important is it to, you know, to start doing that? And at what point do you think, hey, I've been working at this promotion for a certain amount of time, these people should have some direction that they can kind of perceive that I'm going in, or they're putting together specifically for me to go in a specific direction.
That comes down to things we've talked about many times. We've talked about expansion of your training. We've talked about getting better bookings, wrestling better wrestlers, reaching out to other places, not just because it's in a different state for you to travel in, but because it's a known promotion that you can be heading to. It's a hot area around there that can get you seen by more people. And I just love seeing a young talent really get out there right now with Rayshawn. You know, he went back to LA and he's got big plans. And I know I'm going to talk to him on the phone. I still talk to him on the phone every day. We still message each other, but he's not. I'm not daddy anymore. You know what I mean? It's like that's not me anymore. We can still talk. I can still give him the advice and help him. But now I've done my part. You know what I mean? So now he's out in this world on this venture all on his own. And now he's going to meet new people and he's going to take connections that he already has and connections he's about to meet. And it's sad, but it's the exciting part of this all. So you have to look at the promotion and say, what what do I want out of pro wrestling? So as these young students, referees, managers, whatever, what do I want out of this? What is my goal? You know, and it's not the long-term goal you're looking for. It's set some short-term goals, set some things that you can accomplish to start to build some momentum and some confidence in yourself and get your mental up here good. So set a short-term goal for yourself. Say, you know what? I don't care if it's the local promotion. My goal at the end of the year is to get the audience to make a moment. I want a moment. I don't give a shit about, oh, you all right?
I'm good, bud. I just
I
take
thought
the
something
moment, man.
I
Let's
thought that was a moment here on going over because I thought something bad was happening. Sometimes I sit here and I'm like, oh man, is something gonna happen to me while I'm filming this thing? And I sure the fuck hope that if something terrible happened, like I thought something was gonna happen to you right there, I was like, I sure hope you wouldn't air this shit. You know what I mean? Because it's not live. So I was like, oh shit, Paul's going down right fucking now. I'm gonna make sure that Buck does not fucking throw this episode up, or we cut that off and have a beautiful RIP. And you know, that's actually a good example right there, because that's pretty much what happens with these characters in these companies is there is no development, there is no growth, and a promoter, and I love the way we say it, a promoter will use you for everything that he can get out you. He's gonna grab that 10 tickets. He's gonna get those 10 ticket sales and brag about the amount of attendance was at the show. And I think you can look on indie wrestling a lot and you go, man, we've struggled with the house a couple times. Why did we struggle with the house? Why is the house up this time? And it's the people that you have around that are working for you. Because as promoters, I mean, a lot of us, I've seen so many guys that still have the posters and the flyers and shit in their trunk, or they're still in the car. I'm like, hey, what's up with those posters right there? Can I have one? Oh, yeah, sure. Those are the ones we didn't put up. And I'm like, man, that's a pretty hefty stack right there. So you literally had the equivalent to fucking thousands of dollars that you paid physical money for sitting in your car, and you drove around with these motherfuckers. You just thought you were too good to. Were you too good or too lazy to get out there and put a little scotch tape on this motherfucker in a window? But when we're getting back to that, I thought you were having like a stroke or something, and I got worried. I was like, dude, you're
What's that?
somewhere. You're in a brand new studio you just bought off of all these YouTube
Craigslist. Yeah.
You found that baby off of Craigslist. But yeah,
That's
that's it.
right.
Just these guys, man. It's like it's our job at first. It's our job to get these guys bookings. And if as a coach, I've got 8 guys that need some work, and I know they're going to go to a place that doesn't give a shit about them, or it's going to be a bad experience, or there's nothing going on there. If I'm willing to send my guys to that location and expect anything back in a positive or something that's going to help them grow as in their career, then I'm a fucking idiot. You know what I mean? Or I just don't care. So it's up to
Right.
us at first, 100%. And then once they get there, it's up to us to guide them for the things to look for. And then it's on them, man, because there's too many people in this business that don't ask why, and not in a questioning way, but just like, hey, I want to know why am I doing this? Or I've said no. Why do you keep asking me why are you trying to talk me into doing something that I've already said no for? So my best advice to these young guys, be aware, eyes open, and don't be afraid to say no. Just don't be afraid to say no. Don't If you say no when they ask you if you can help with the ring and shit, you're just a piece of shit for doing that. But if somebody wants you to do something that you don't want to do, don't be afraid to say no, and don't be afraid to just ask why. Why do you want me to do this? I just want to know. And the answer you're looking for is going to be in their response. So I don't need to tell you what they're going to say. Like, here's an example of what they're going to say, but just pay close attention, man, because I know I've talked to a couple of young guys, and I've asked them, I'm like, hey, I noticed you were in a 4-way last month. I noticed this month you're in a 5-way, or they got you in a 4-person tag match, or just some stupid gimmicky shit. And I was like, what else do you do at this company? And they're like, well, that's what they've been doing with me for a while now. And I'm like, well, you should probably change that yourself. You
Right.
know?
Say something.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I know that there's early on for me, that was a big thing, was like, you're trying to figure out a way to use this guy, and you want to get him onto the card, and, you're going to try to make something happen, because, you want to be the nice guy promoter. And I think, unfortunately, you have a lot of companies that are trying to do that, right? Hey, I want to be a nice guy promoter, and I want to, get a network of guys, but it's just, you need to kind of pick and choose, right? Let's have whatever number of matches you're going to have, whether it's 6, 8, 10, whatever. Let's make all these matches mean something, right? Let's not just have, hey, we're going to have a number one contender match, but we're going to have 5 people in it, and say, okay, well, why does this make sense? Why do all of these people deserve to have a chance to wrestle for the big prize of the company? Why don't you just have a one-on-one match, and the guy that wins, hopefully there's some reason that these 2 guys are fighting for this opportunity. Maybe it's a former champ and an up-and-comer guy. It's, you know, hopefully put a string of wins together. But I think, unfortunately, too many times we're not putting enough effort as promoters. I put myself in the same category. You don't put enough effort into, like, where are you trying to go with this person, or what is this person, what kind of role can they play within your company, and how can you uh, string that along for a long period of time to make it work, right? To play out this story and where people go, oh, I see. So that's the payoff for that story that started, 8 months ago. Um, with the little subtleties, like just as I'm saying that, I think about like the photo with you and Dickie Dakin from when he's young, and you're younger than you are now, with
Mhm.
less
I would, I would hope
less
so.
of the less of the salt and pepper. But
Yeah.
it's just, and it's one of those. It's this one of those cool things where maybe you did know 10 years ago that this kid was going to be a wrestler, and there's going to be some sort of, hey, we're going to put together something where the two of us are going to be wrestling. Or maybe it just happened from chance, and you said, hey man, I got this photo that, man, that would really tie into this story that we're telling, and it's going to make perfect sense, and you just take advantage of those opportunities, that you've kind of have in front of you. um, I would say think outside the box of different things that are going to happen. So
We
um,
we've
yeah,
touched on it. We touched on it
yeah,
back in the day with
right,
me and Dickie, and then he took me and some Dickie, and we stepped away. But it just kind of happened by chance. It happened by chance that Christian Sky had gotten a car accident and was supposed to work with Dickie and couldn't make it to the show. And we had to throw Dickie out there with JMM, and the Prospect Championship wasn't on the line. And it just, Dickie sells a lot of tickets to the show, and his family is very supportive. And you take the 30 whatever tickets that his family's selling, and then JMM comes out and works like a mega heel, and he gets those people into it, and then drags the other 250 300 people into it. And next thing you know, the audience gives a shit about Dickie versus JMM. So now we're off to the races with this. And an unfortunate accident that took one of my favorite guys off the card for the day end up just creating this monster out of nowhere, which now you got to take the other guy and you got to go, all right, what are we going to do with him now? And then we come up with something creative for him. And I look back too, like, um, so I know with WWE, I know a thing, there was an interest in me back when I was like 24, 25, and I had been contacted. And the thing was, if this was hey, we know you party a lot, so if this is the late 80s, early 90s, yeah, come, we want you, but we're gonna need to see you go through some rehabilitation. And I'm kind of like, at that moment in my life, fuck your rehabilitation. And I can think of another time that, Marcus Mack came up to me, and there was a potential contract for me to go to TNA, and it was to be Orlando Jordan's bisexual boyfriend. And I said, no, thank you. For me, maybe I would have made good money. Maybe it would have been a big name. But for me, I had so much integrity in where Mr. Primetime MPT was, that I didn't want to be known as that role. And then there's a couple times that I've got the call to be an extra at WWE, and I turned it down because I asked what I'd be doing. And they go, oh, Braun Strowman's going to beat you up in the locker room on camera or whatever. And then you're like, no, I'm good. Maybe next time. And then you watch Monday Night Raw, and you see the guy who replaced you getting thrown a mile in the air in the locker room. He misses the table and splatters into the Coca-Cola machine and splatters on the concrete. Or another one was when Brock Lesnar grabbed he F5'd. It might even have been Dylan Drake, actually, but he F5's Dylan Drake and whacks him into the ring post over there. And, I'm sitting at home going, hey, man, I think I might have made the right choice here tonight. And those are just, you can say no. You can say no, and you can say they have repercussions or whatever you want. But in this business, as we're closing in on that 5-minute marker, where when you're at like 8 or 10 minutes of this shit, you're like, oh man, your eyes start to get kind of wide like yours were. And you're like, oh fuck, we still got 50 minutes, but here we are. So, I mean, that's just what it comes down to for these young guys, man. You really are in control of whatever you want to do. And if you got the right coaches that are going to lead you in the right direction, then it's going to be set up perfectly for you, because it's your job, Paul. It's Samurai's job, it's Ugly's job, it's my job, it's all these guys' job to say, all right, we're going to give you the right education, and then we have the right connections starting out. Because I remember I got down to I was down in Pro Wrestling Iron one weekend and then APW the next weekend, because my coach had put me in that position. He put me in the position to be able to make the choice of, well, do I want to work with this company that is broke away and they're here, or do I want to work with this company? And then I got to make the decision myself, where I was like, well, this company, and I've talked to Mike about it before. I was like, you guys were just kind of doing it to do it, and APW was so much more professional the way they laid everything out, and there was a lot more opportunity there because the mainstay, the older guys, had left to go to Iron. So there was these guys over here, and then there was more opportunity for growth for younger talent and to bring younger talent in at APW. So you kind of just got to look at that too. It's like I told you about what you got going on out there with bringing it back to the Reno Wrestle Factory and doing what you're doing out there. Is like, oh, this is a huge opportunity, not for me. It's not a huge opportunity for me. It's a huge opportunity in the connection I have with you to get the adult dudes, to get a Rayshon, to get an Angel, a Dickie Dakin, to get Bad News, Buck. I mean, all these guys, to get them down there while you're essentially rebuilding your company.
Right.
You're in the rebuilding process. You're looking for
That's
young
it.
talent to come in, and you're got new students, and that's what you're doing. You're building this product. So now these guys, that's when these guys have a huge opportunity to really take advantage of helping somebody out and getting those stories and programs they want.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, man, I feel like we've hopefully, like I always think when we get to the end of these, and I feel like I hope it's a good situation where people listen to this. And obviously, you and I, we don't know everything, but hopefully, we put a perspective on things that people go, you know what? I'm in that rut, right? I'm in those 3, 4-way, 5-way matches, and I want to show a promoter what I can do. I'm going to stand up for myself, and I'm going to say, hey, I think I've got something to offer. Let me show you. Can you give me a one-on-one match next show? Let me show you what I can do. I'd also like to have that video, right? I want to have a one-on-one match so I can send it out, and other promoters can see what I can do. So that's great. That you're talking about having the confidence in yourself to tell a promoter that, like, hey, I think I've got value. I want to show you what it is, but I also want this, selfishly, so I can send to other promoters, so I can get other work also, and I can get out there. And hopefully it's full circle, right? You go out there, you work somebody else from a different company that has a different perspective. You learn something and you bring it back to that promoter and help his guys with that stuff. So as we're closing out here, man, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I got a million final thoughts.
I
No,
know. How
just,
about 90 seconds
just
of
like you
final
said.
thoughts?
just, just like you said, man, we say we don't know everything, and you don't know everything because a lot of this shit we're fucking learning and making up as we go, man. I don't give a fuck what anybody says, and there's a lot of people out there that are very opinionated and they have their own opinions. And the one thing that I will say about myself is, if you say something that is better than, if you have a better idea than me, I'm going to go with your idea. I'm going to give you the credit. If you have a point about something, I'm going to fucking own it up and I'm going to agree with your point. I want to hear people's I want to hear people's opinion. But here we go. I don't know if I got to make my own separate thing, but come on, guys. Match. Send us some matches. Do
Yes.
you not want the criticism? We're gonna give you. I want to give some criticism out there to some young guys that want to see some matches. Damn it, send them along, because who's the guy? Randy Hornchefter or whatever his name is. I'm gonna start. He added me to my friends list. The guy's getting a lot of views. I'm gonna contact him and bombard matches myself from here on out. I'm Zach Primetime Reed. That's the Paul. That's the 7-foot Paul Isadora, and we are going over.
See ya.